Welcome to Sailing the East. Hi, I'm Bela and Mike.
And I'm Mike Wasserman.
This is our podcast about sailing the East Coast of the United States. In some episodes, we'll focus on destinations. In other episodes, we'll talk about boats, equipment, and techniques. And when we come across an interesting person, we'll try to get them as a guest on our show.
What makes this podcast unusual is that only one of us really sails.
That would be me, Bela. I've been sailing for over 30 years, not across oceans, but on lakes and coastal cruising on the East Coast of the United States.
And I, Mike, know very little about sailing. I have sailed a few times. I've damaged things and broken things. And I love being outside. I love the water. But yeah, I'm not by any means educated or knowledgeable about the whole world of sailing. So I'll ask most of the questions, and I think Bela will provide most of the answers. But I think it'll be fun as we go to kind of look at things both with fresh eyes and experienced eyes as we go through kind of some of the great places that Bela's been and some of the issues that we find that would be helpful for people who are interested in sailing or starting to sail to know about.
You know, Mike, as you were talking about your experience in sailing, it got me to thinking that you're probably a wonderful passenger because you're a good conversationalist. You know how to cook even. So you'd be a great passenger. And sometimes passengers stay that way. And other people, passengers, evolve into sailors. So we'll see how this progression works with you.
Love the metaphor, Bela. Love the metaphor.
Yeah, very good. So today we're going to talk about Wickford, Rhode Island. So I spent several days at Wickford Marina. It's one of several marinas in Wickford. There's Wickford Shipyard, there's Safe Harbor Wickford Cove, there's Wickford Yacht Club, and there's Wickford Marina, which is the place that we stayed at. Quite nice, quite a nice little marina.
So, Bela, give me a sense of the landscape. What does it look like?
So Wickford is on Narragansett Bay, which is a large bay in Rhode Island, in the state of Rhode Island in the United States, on the northeastern coast of the United States. It is on the west side of the bay, and it's a little bit north of Newport. And Newport's on the east side of the bay. So not everyone, but a lot of people have heard about Newport, Rhode Island. It's often called the sailing capital of the United States. And it is a very famous town, and this is sort of on the other side of the bay and a little bit north, much lower key, much small, quieter little town.
What's the coastline like? Is it rocky? Is it developed? Is it is there a lot of development around? What would I see as I'm kind of looking around from the boat?
Yeah, so Narragansett Bay is kind of interesting. There's some areas that are very industrial. There's several big commercial shipyards where they make parts for submarines and things like that. And other parts are residential, and some parts are mansion-like with just huge homes on it. So there's a real great variety. Wickford proper and sort of around Wickford is pretty much predominantly residential, and it's very nice. It's sort of rocky. It's not rocky like Maine, and it's not sandy like the Chesapeake Bay. It's sort of a combination of both. So there's definitely rocks you got to watch out for and obstructions. But at the same time, Narragansett Bay, the bottom is you can get a good hold on your anchor if you want to anchor out. But so it's sort of a combination of all those things. The tides are not very high, so the tides move around Wickford, maybe a 3 or 4 foot tide, which is not too bad. And so the tide currents are not bad. And Narragansett Bay on a whole is really a very, very nice place to sail.
Nice. What are the support facilities like there?
Yeah, so Wickford Marina is a small, quiet marina. They have a nice deck for sort of hanging out. They have a barbecue pit. They have restrooms, showers, and laundries. And all that kind of stuff is very clean, very well done. The whole marina probably has, I would say, maybe 30 or 40 boats in it. So on the scale of marinas, it's on the relatively small side. Um, and as all marinas and facilities on Rhode Island, they have a free self-service pump out. So, Mike, do you know what a pump out is?
I do. I have a little bit of experience with pump outs, but what comes in must go out, right? As the saying goes.
That's right. So all boats have a holding tank. Well, let me say, if you have a facility, meaning a toilet on a boat, you have a tank on the boat that holds what goes into that toilet. And at some point in time, the tank gets full, and you have to pump it out. And I can remember when I started sailing, most places charged, $10 or something for a pump out. And then municipalities were discovering that people didn't want to pay the $10, and they were just dumping things into the water. So a lot of places, Rhode Island being one of them, passed legislation that fundamentally says the pump outs are free. And in most places, they're self-service, and they're open 24 hours. So it makes it really, really convenient for people to be able to empty out their holding tanks. And Wickford Marina, like all marinas, has a self-service pump out that's free. They do not have fuel, so there's no place to buy fuel there. They don't have a travel lift to haul your boat out of the water. So it's not what I would describe as a full-service marina, but it's really well protected from the wind and the waves. And it's about a 10-minute walk to downtown Wickford. Now, just around the corner from Wickford Marina is the safe harbor Wickford Cove Marina, which is a large full-service marina. They have a travel lift there so you can get your boat hauled out. They have fuel docks. They have great showers and really modern restrooms and stuff. We actually had our boat hauled out at Safe Harbor Wickford Cove, and they did a very nice job on that. The folks there were really skilled. They knew what they were doing. The staff was really friendly. It, too, is a super, super well-protected marina, protected from the wind and the waves. And Safe Harbor Wickford Cove is about a 5-minute walk to downtown. There's also a town dock in the town of Wickford. It's not easy to find, but if you head towards the Safe Harbor Wickford Cove Marina, if you see them on a chart or on Google Maps, you just keep following the channel, and there's a free town dock there. And you can dock your boat there. It's first served. There's no reservations there, so you got to if you get there and there's a space available, you can dock there for 2 hours. So they have a 2-hour limit, and it probably has space for, depending on the size of the boats, 2 or 3 boats. And the beauty of it is it's right downtown. It's right off Brown Street, which I would call Main Street, or the descriptive term for Brown Street would be Main Street, because it's sort of where the restaurants are and the bars and the shops and the things like that. So the town dock is really a nice place to go to if you just want to spend a couple of hours there and you're not interested in spending the night. There is really no great place to anchor in Wickford. The anchorages are pretty limited. There's large mooring fields that are owned by various different municipalities and yacht clubs and stuff. So there's really not a great place to anchor. So your options are spending a night in a marina, or spending a few hours at the town dock and walking around downtown.
So, maybe we'll get to this in another episode, Bela, but, it might be interesting for people who aren't sailors to talk about some of the costs involved. So how much does it cost to and I know that it depends on the place and the size of the boat, and there's a lot of factors, but just kind of in the ballpark or a range, all right, how much it costs to, building off of what you talked about free pump outs, but, to anchor overnight at an anchor ball, or to stay in a marina at a dock space, haul your boat in and out, kind of what the costs are of that. Do you want to give a ballpark of what some of these things cost in the areas that you're talking about today?
Sure. So if you want dock space, so if let's say you want to come to a marina and you want to dock there for the night. You want to use their shower facilities. You need to fill up your water tanks. You want to walk downtown, go to a restaurant to eat. They typically run around $3 a foot is sort of how they charge. So depending upon the length of your boat, you can figure that out, right? So you have a 10-foot boat, which would be a very small boat. It'd be $30 for the night. You get to have a larger boat, it costs more. And that also typically includes an electrical hookup. So boats like mine have batteries to sort of run the lights and the other systems, the water systems on the boat. But when you're at a dock, you can actually plug in to electricity, town electricity, if you will. And then, the microwave works and the air conditioning works. And so you get a little more juice there, a little more electricity, so you can turn on some other systems. So whenever you go to a marina, it usually includes the electric and free use of the showers. Most all of them have laundry facilities. So they have coin-operated laundry machines and dryers.
So it's really kind of like staying at a hotel, right? I mean, you're paying $100 or whatever, right? And you get access to all the stuff. You're sleeping on your boat, but you've got the electricity and the water and the laundry, access to the laundry and things like that.
That's right. And some of these marinas will have their own restaurants, right? And a bar. Most of them have a little store. So if you need a few little minor items, whether they be for the boat or whether they be, you want to get a 6-pack of beer or something else to drink, you can do that. So they're quite nice. If you want to get a mooring ball, which is a big ball that's maybe a couple feet in diameter, that's anchored to the bottom of the bay, and you want to hook your boat to that, those typically run $30 to $60 a night. It sort of depends again on the area. But now you're instead of anchoring, you're much more firmly attached to terra firma. So if the winds pick up, your boat you don't have to worry about your anchor dragging, but you're out on the water. So if you want to get to shore, most boats have what they call a dinghy, which is a small little rowboat or a little boat that has maybe a 3 or 5 horsepower motor on it, and you can get to shore that way and explore the town. So those are the options. And again, it's a pretty cost-effective way of seeing different places and traveling around and getting that experience.
Cool. Yeah, no, this is great. You talked a little about going into town and going to a restaurant. Tell me a little bit about Wickford.
Yeah, so Wickford is a really nice little town. And little, just to put it in perspective, it's what I would describe as approximately 1, maybe 2 blocks long. So it's not, and I would describe those as New York City blocks, right, in length. So it's not really a big place. It's a bit upscale. It has really several nice places to eat. It's got a beautiful little coffee shop, numerous little gift shops and antique shops. If you walk to the north end of Brown Street, Brown Street is, again, what I would call Main Street, but its official name is Brown Street. There's a 3-way intersection, and if you turn right at that intersection, you actually go onto Main Street, what is really called Main Street, and this is the old section of town. This is a really neat place. There's like many historic buildings there dating back to the 18th century. And if you look up the history of Wickford, it was actually settled in 1637. So this little town has been around a long, long time. And from the mid-1700s to the mid-1800s, the village of Wickford was the second largest community in the Narragansett Bay for shipping and trade, etc. So at any given time, there's like 25 ship captains and their families and their associated businesses were based out of Wickford. So you have to remember, a ship is someone's business, right? A ship captain's an entrepreneur, right? He bought a ship and he moves goods from point A to point B, and he's got employees or the crew, etc. So Wickford was really a real hub for that type of entrepreneurship and enterprise. And ferry boats used to run between Wickford from 9 in the morning or from dawn till 9 or 10 at night. So you could go over to Newport, which was sort of the more social and not, Wickford was more sort of trade oriented, where Newport was sort of more of the social scene, upscale social scene. And you could go back and forth between Newport and Wickford. So it's just a really interesting place. I mean, you walk on Main Street where all these old original houses are. They're all sort of, they have little plaques on them, tell you when they were built. Sometimes they have a little historical perspective of who lived there, Captain so-and-so lived here, et cetera. And it's really well done. And I really enjoyed walking down that street and looking at all these historic buildings and things. Yeah, so it was really, really quite nice. I think, everyone, like I said before, everyone thinks about Newport as the place to go, and it is great. We will do an episode on Newport as well. But I think Wickford is one of those must-see places on Narragansett Bay if you're making a trip to Narragansett Bay.
Bela, it sounds like a great trip. I love it. And I have been to a couple times to Newport and a little bit around Narragansett Bay, on the land side, obviously. And I totally agree. It's a beautiful place. The architecture is amazingly gorgeous. There's great food there. The coastline landscape is breathtaking, and it's definitely worth a trip. So yeah, thanks. That was really interesting, and I learned a lot. So maybe let's wrap it up. Listeners, thanks for joining us. We hope you found the episode interesting and maybe a little thought-provoking. If you have questions about what we discussed or suggestions about things we should cover in future episodes, please get in touch with us. Our email is sailingtheeast@gmail.com.
And hey, please do subscribe if you haven't already. It's free. And we'd love to hear from you, as Mike said. So drop us a line, tell us about an interesting place or an interesting character, or just share some other thoughts with you. We always love hearing from our listeners. So until next time, Mike, have a good time and see you soon.
Thanks, Bela. And from over here in Münster, Germany, where our local river is the A. That's how you spell it. Just a little food for thought there. From the shores of the River in Münster. Have a great week, everybody.
All right. Fair winds and calm seas to everyone.